2022 special meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm calling this to order. Art, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
Well, the words escape me at the moment.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No worries, a senior moment.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Actually, I have it written down. Which I didn't bring.
Okay, do we have any citizen comments, Madam Clerk?
We will, if it's okay, do roll call.
Oh, I apologize, yes.
I'm sorry, but can I just take a very quick minute and contact
Tanya? Cool.
Commissioner Lebrecht and see if he can be on the phone with us.
You're taller.
Pardon?
You're in my seat.
I know, well, I guess I could have moved the chair over.
That's okay.
too.
I'll just be short.
Hello?
Hi, Tongi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So would you like to stay on the phone for the meeting tonight?
Yeah, I can. I'm also on YouTube, so I mean, I can hear it as well, but I can't comment anyways, right? So, but I
Yeah.
appreciate that courtesy.
Okay.
I thought you said he could.
He could at the end, at the very end, he can make comments. Okay.
You got that?
Thank you.
So tonight's roll call. Walker.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Lemaster.
Here.
Benoit.
Here.
Lebrecht is on the phone. And Chair Cease.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And for citizen comments, we do not have anyone signed in. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I need an approval of the consent, of the agenda and the consent agenda, and a second, please.
I so move.
Second. Thank you. Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Lemaster. All right. We have no proclamations or awards.
Can we vote? Oh, okay. Voting on tonight's agenda. Lebrecht? Oh, sorry. My mistake. I'm so sorry. I'm going to scratch that out. Lemaster? On the
Yes,
agenda?
yes.
Thank you. Walker?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Benoit?
Yes.
And Chair Cease?
Yes.
Your agenda is approved and you have no items on consent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. Proclamations and awards, none. Other reports and announcements. We have an update on the installation of the 3 remaining wall signs for the historic walking tour. And this would be Commissioner Benoit.
Yes, Commissioner Lebrecht is going to be coming to town, I think it's on the 26th, on next Tuesday, and he's going to be working to put those signs in with either Austin or with myself or
Yes.
Sue. So we're planning on getting them done on next Tuesday or Wednesday, so that's that. Some other updates. Let's see, I wanted to correct a couple of things that I said before I think were incorrect. Before, I had told you that we had paid for 5,000 maps, and we had only gotten 2,500 printed, and we still had 2,500 coming. But I talked to the sign designer, apparently we've gotten all of our maps, all 5,000, and at this point, they're all out. I don't have any left. So all of our maps that have been paid for are out there in the world. And I also told you, oh yeah, I think those will probably last most of the season. Maybe we'll be a little bit short. But I did talk to the Chamber of Commerce and just said, hey, how many visitors do we have every year? And what do you think we might need in terms of maps for people that come to town? And so they said we have, amazingly, 250,000 people per year that come to visit Seward, which is just boggles my mind. And that what they recommend, based on their experience with other things that they have like that, is that we would need about 100,000 maps per year to supply the demand. So although I told you, oh yeah, 5,000 will probably be good, maybe a little short, I was like in the twilight zone when I said that, because really what we need is like 100,000 per year is their recommendation. So I just wanted to pass that on so we could plan for that in the future.
Thank you.
And I think that is it.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. Commissioner Ward?
I just want to confirm that the signs are in storage, and you have them. I just want to confirm that because everybody asked. And we will make arrangements then on sometime Tuesday. Would that be convenient, or to try and get those picked up? But you have them. There you go.
She has them in a heated garage.
Heated. So anyway, more than my cars. But anyway, I just wanted to confirm that, so we'll need to make arrangements sometime to pick them up once Commissioner LeBret gets to town with his drill.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Walker. All right, turning our page. Review the nominations for the 2022 Historic Presentation Award and vote on recipients. Nominees are Bailey Saylor, Mary Ann Benoit, and Sue Ward. Sue Ward, Cheryl Cease, Mary Ann Benoit, and Tongi LeBret. And finally, Mary Tugas. And page 3 is where we begin. I'm going to begin by referencing that I think we're going to have some conflicts of interest with some of these. And I would like the Commission's view on these. The first one, which I feel very awkward about saying at this point, is nominated by a fellow city employee. And then the other two, though as wonderful as they are and as appreciative as we are of Commissioner Master and Commissioner Walker's nominating us, well, first Mary Ann and Sue, and then Sue, Mary Ann, actually, Commissioner Ward, Commissioner Benoit, Commissioner LeBret, and Commissioner Cease. That's very much appreciated, but both Commissioner LeMaster and Commissioner Walker sit right now on this commission. So that would be two commissioners voting for existing commissioners. And how does our commission feel about this?
I think it is a conflict of interest, and I would like, while it's appreciated,
It is.
and there was a lot of work done, I think it doesn't look good
Madam Chair.
for us to nominate and vote on ourselves.
I would agree with that. Director Saylor.
I asked that my nomination get pulled earlier this week when I saw the packet, but I was informed I couldn't pull it. So,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
If I was sitting home and not on the commission, I would, and learned what you guys did, I think it's appropriate. Did you put in 3,000 hours?
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
It is. And someday it would be nice to be recognized, but to be recognized by commissioners on our commission, and with having 3 of us here to vote on that, 3 of us who are nominated, it truly is a conflict of interest, and we honestly appreciate it. I was very surprised when I saw these. And like I say, someday, it would be nice if it comes around. But right now, I don't think this is the time.
Agreed.
Commissioner Benoit?
I just want to say, first of all, I'm really honored and thank both of you guys for
For
nominating.
recognizing the work that
Yeah.
was done.
I appreciate it because I'm very proud of it. I'm probably prouder of that than almost anything I've ever done. So, but because I've been nominated, I would feel like I would have to recuse myself from voting on any of these because I'm in the nominations. And for that same reason, I would feel, so would you, and so would you, like the 3 of us shouldn't vote because we've all been nominated, and also feel like you two could not vote because you nominated somebody, so basically that means nobody could vote.
There's
But I have an idea. And so my idea is that I think that we should open this up, make the deadline for a month from now, and make a really good effort to get the word out to the public, because I feel like, first of all these nominations are coming from within the city commission, the city employees. Like, maybe we didn't do a good enough job of getting the word out to people. And so my suggestion is this, we extend this deadline for another month, and maybe see if we can get like Wolf to advertise on the radio. We could put something in the paper, and maybe put something else in Facebook, and really try to get the word out. And then once we see what we get more of the public weigh in, then to have this discussion. That I would feel much better if we did
What
that.
if someone else nominated you guys?
Well, then it's coming from the community rather than ourselves, so of course I'll be okay with that. I'm just saying, if somebody else, I just feel like right now, it's such a
It's too in-house.
limited pool
Right.
that we should, make sure that the public, because I've had people come up and say they wanted to put in some nominations, but I don't see their names, so I think people are just like, need
Unsure.
a reminder, they're unaware of the deadline, or they didn't know about it, but I think if you kind of get the word out, maybe people will step up and do that. That's my hope.
This is Chair Cease. I'm a little bit airheaded tonight because I'm really exhausted, but it seems to me, and I would support your extension, but it seems to me that we have the same problem. There are 3 of us that would be possibly nominated, and then 3 of us would still be voting for ourselves. So, to me, that's pretty much what we're looking at tonight.
Cheryl, we're withdrawing our nominations with
No,
due
no,
respect.
I know, but
But,
if the
so-
public, listen, if we put this back out there and the public, nominated us, we're still the ones voting on it. Isn't
Well,
that still a conflict of interest?
my point is you're anticipating that somebody's going to do that, and maybe they won't. We could end up with 2 or 3 other people that we
Well,
have no
that-
idea.
Yeah, and that would be
And,
great.
well, I say cross a bridge when we come to it rather than make a problem before we get there. So I would suggest, I would
I also don't.
back
Yeah.
your proposal another 4 weeks. Let's get the nominations out there, see what we get. I think, I want mine withdrawn, you want yours withdrawn, you want yours withdrawn, so we're down to 1 right now.
I also don't think that just because somebody else in the public nominated some of us, that we should be like automatically excluded from ever getting nominated for an award because we worked our butts off, and if somebody else thinks that we deserve an award, that's
Right.
fine. We shouldn't automatically say, no, we can never get an award for anything because we're on this commission. But I do think that we need to
Open it
make
up.
sure that it's open and that the public is weighing in, and it's not just within our group.
And we still have
What do you
one,
think, Art?
one,
Makes sense.
so, yeah, I was just gonna say, open it up for another month and see if we get anything. Otherwise, we do have one worthy person that we could, in a month, vote on. So,
Well, I need a motion and a second, and then we need to discuss, and then we need to vote.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we open up extend the deadline for nominating people for the Historic Preservation Award for another month.
to the next meeting? Or do you want it
So
the
that
week
the
before?
next meeting, it could be
Decided.
decided, what's the date of the
May
next?
12th. So that's about 3 weeks, May 12th.
And so I guess then all the nominations should be in by like May 11th?
Well, you don't have to do it based on my schedule, by any means.
I was trying to base it on the next meeting schedule.
Well, that's May 12th.
So I guess my motion would be that nominations are in by May 11th.
And then we can discuss it at the meeting.
Madam Clerk, may I ask a question? So we know that council meets the 9th, and then we would meet later that week on the 12th,
Yes,
and then they would meet 2 Mondays later.
on the 23rd.
So that is still in May.
Yeah,
So it would still meet National Historic Preservation Month.
yes.
The motion is on the floor to extend this until
May 12th,
May 12th,
May 11th.
May 11th,
11th at 5 p.m.
at 5 PM.
And can I ask?
Second?
Do you intend to include the application for Mary to
Yes.
this and carry that forward?
I would think so.
Well, is there anything wrong with nominating her? I mean, voting on her and then just setting it aside until we do the awards?
I think we should,
Do it all at once. would be
yeah,
my
I would
thought.
just soon do it all at once. Wait
Okay.
till all the
All right.
nominations are in.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. And so we'll take a vote.
Okay, voting on the motion to extend the nomination deadline to May 11th at 5 p.m. and carry forward the nomination for Mary to this. Ward,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Benoit,
Yes.
Lemaster, and Chair Cease.
Yes.
Thank you, that motion is approved. And I will renotice that starting tomorrow.
And then what, just for further discussion, we want to put something on Facebook, or, I mean, what are some alternatives to get the word out?
I can make another Facebook post about it. I think we should put something in the paper and on the news. And if somebody else could handle those things, that'd be great.
At this time, I am going to recuse myself from having anything to do with the journal.
I'll give Wolf a call and see if he will put it on the radio. I don't know if they charge for something like that, or if we have money in the budget to do that. Do you know?
I do encourage one of you to contact Sam McDavid. He's the journalist that covers our local events, and see if he would be willing to put something in the paper.
Anybody willing to do that?
I can just mention that when I send out the notice tomorrow, through the email distribution, the newspaper is automatically included in that.
Oh, that would be super.
So they've generally been picking that up from there and putting it in under the calendar of notices. They just kind of do that on their own, so I think it'll be noticed in there.
Okay,
They're really good about doing that.
okay, great. Alrighty.
But still, it doesn't answer my question, like, I don't know whether, I've never asked for them to play anything on the radio. Do they charge for that? If we ask them to do that? Is that something-
I don't know if they do. What I would do is call and ask Wolf, and if he says, yeah, there's a charge, then we say, well, thank you very much, because we don't have anything to pay with.
Well, perhaps he would do it as a former,
As a public service announcement?
yes, as a former commissioner. And
But we don't have a budget, so the answer is if they do charge, there's not much we could do about it.
Okay, we can't decide right now who we'd be willing to pay up to so much.
Well, we do have a budget. We saw it last time. It's meager, but there is a budget. So first, shouldn't we finish the first motion to extend this? We haven't voted on that, have we?
Yeah, you voted.
Oh,
It's
we
been
did, okay,
approved, yes.
we do, okay, sorry. So Commissioner Benoit, you want to make a motion for a certain amount of money up to,
I'll make a motion that we spend up to $25, I'm just wildly guessing, for
I second.
a short announcement.
Okay, yep. Up to you.
Radio ad?
Yeah.
Just to be specific on the motion?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Great. So, sorry, any more discussion? Okay, voting on the motion to allot up to $25 for a radio ad. Lemaster,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Benoit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes,
and Chair Cease.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is approved.
Well, hello, Ms. Casagrande. Next is the Cease. Okay, draft letter
Fort
for...
McGilvery.
Okay, yes. Okay. Did you all have a chance to read this? If not, I'll read it on the record.
I did not.
It's on page 10. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read it then. Cheryl Cease, Chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, Post Office Box 167, Seward, Alaska 99664. April 14th, 2022. Joy Beasley, Keeper. National Register of Historic Places, 1849 C Street, Northwest, 7228, Washington, D.C. 20240. Attention, Paul Louis, again. I know I've mispronounced that. I apologize. Fort McGilvery Historic District, Alaska Heritage Resources Survey, XBS-00013, XBS-00039, SEW-00040, SEW-01762, XBS-00043. It is with extreme gratitude that our commission is afforded the pleasure of supporting Fort McGilvery for the National Register of Historic Places. While Fort McGilvery is outside Seward city limits, it served as an important protector of our city, and for this reason our commission supports its nomination. Seward history is very important to us, as is its preservation. Fort McGilvery holds not only historical value to Seward, but to the state of Alaska, and most importantly to the nation, as it served to protect our country during World War II. When the Nazi regime pulled Japan into its battle for its military dominance of the world, it placed the west coast of the United States at extreme jeopardy. The only time an invading enemy fought on American soil during World War II was with Imperial Japan. Attu and Kiska Islands, defended by the Navy, the Army, and the Alaska Territorial Guard, made up of Alaska natives, battled the Japanese military in harsh terrain. U.S. forces fought fiercely until finally removing the enemy from American soil, making the fortification of Alaska vital to the nation's security. Resurrection Bay in Seward, Alaska is an ice-free port which continues to serve and serves year-round shipping. This is why Fort McGilvery was so important. The bay allowed supplies for the building of Fort Raymond, a military installation for the Army. Supplies for the troops were also shipped in for the building of Fort McGilvery. This fort served as a defense system to ward off any enemy that would try to infiltrate Fort Raymond, moving north to potentially disabled Elmendorf Field, Alaska Air Command, 11th Air Force. The protection of Resurrection Bay during this time period also protected the transport of needed supplies for interior Alaska. Should an air invasion have taken place to destroy and disrupt shipping into Seward, Fort McGilvery had the means to ward off any such attack. The Seward Historic Preservation Commission takes seriously historic preservation. This is indeed an honor of the highest order to have Fort McGilvery listed on the National Register. We are so grateful for the work of Alaska's Alaska State Historic Preservation Office, Office of History and Archaeology, to put together such a detailed historic places registration form. In its application, they are very detailed, as required, which Seward also appreciates, as it can add this to its own record of the history of Fort McGilvery for the education of its citizens regarding the importance of Seward as a place of national defense during World War II. Our commission wholeheartedly supports the nomination of Fort McGilvery to the National Register of Historic Places. With respect and appreciation, Chair Cease. And then I've just listed a brief description of the Battle of Attu and Kiska.
Nicely done.
So I need an okay from our commission.
I'd like to make a motion to accept that wonderful letter as is.
I second.
It was well done.
Thank you.
Okay, voting to approve the Fort McGilvery letter. Ward,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Lemaster,
Yes.
Benoit,
Yes.
and Chair Cease.
Yes,
That motion is approved.
thank you.
Will you be sending that, or do you want us to send that on behalf of HB?
Well,
Nice to have Seward city
Put it on letterhead and send it?
Yeah,
I'm
I think
happy
it
to
should
do
be on city
Okay,
letterhead.
sure. Okay,
Okay.
great.
Officially.
Yeah.
All right. Next is the Seward Historic Plant and Tree Register, which I would like to thank staff for preparing the entire record on. It's very helpful to know what plants have been identified and where they are. And in our discussion, I think we were unaware that it was as advanced as it is, which is great. And the locations are great. Do I have any commissioners who would like to comment on this?
It was last.
Any part of it?
I was just gonna say it was last updated in 2008,
Yes.
so it probably is due, but still, this is a whole lot more than I thought we had.
Yes.
It's, yeah, and I mean, I don't think an inventory's been done, so.
For quite some time.
Right. Which is why I wanted it added. Commissioner Benoit?
I've reviewed all this in the past, I think it's great, and it probably does need to be updated. I know I looked through all of this previously, and researched all this stuff because I was trying to figure out where the historic lilac trees were to take shoots for Hobbit Park. And I know that, you know, since this time, there's probably been some lots that have been cleared and the vegetation is gone. Or some things possibly have been moved. And maybe there are some things that were missed, I don't know. I think Carol is very thorough and probably had almost everything that was in town on here. But I think that, you know, it should be looked at to see if there's any updates, just like we do with our list of historic buildings. Some of those things have been demolished, and this list may not be perfectly accurate anymore.
And I believe in code, this is part of our duty.
And I think that's a good duty to have.
I agree.
Those things are important.
I agree. Any further discussion?
I just love the comments,
Yeah.
the history.
Yeah.
Down there, it's just in fact, I've got this thing marked as saved, so I'm going to save this document.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, I forgot to mention.
Commissioner Benoit?
I forgot to mention that I did look through this, and some of these things I actually included on the historic walking tour signs. If there was a historic, like, lilac tree, like a Resurrection Art Coffee House, that's noted on the sign. And I think there might be one other place, Hoban Park, possibly. So, you know, some of the stuff we tried to, that big tree that's like, just down there, across the street, that big giant tree that's across, that one's on the walking tour, so.
Great.
Is that Cottonwood?
Great.
That was a big spruce.
It's a spruce.
Yeah. Did you use this, or you did use this?
Yes.
Good for you. I did want to add that between a publication of this, Linda Lasota and Carol worked on this. So apparently they didn't find things they wanted to add.
When was that?
Well, it's between now and then, because when I came on the commission, Carol had recently, she was doing it as a volunteer with Linda, and she had recently, decided that she had too many things to do to continue, so it was Linda Lasota. And Linda, explained to us that this is our responsibility, but
So it's been
our commission-
updated since?
No, it has not.
When did Linda look at it?
She and Carol both looked at it, but they didn't add to it. So it has not been updated formally.
When I first came on the commission, I talked to Carol about this, and I thought she was gonna take a look and potentially see if we needed any updates, but we haven't really discussed it since then, so.
Yeah, she might, it's been 4 years, so, she might have a lighter plate these days. But yeah, she'd be definitely very, very valuable in going over this.
I think it's important to have somebody that knows what they're looking at.
So you
As far
accept
as
Carol, or
the
do you want to,
vegetation.
are you talking about
Like Carol.
A botanist.
Yeah, well, Carol is a botanist, so
Okay.
she would be a perfect person to.
And if she can't do it, she may be able to recommend somebody who can. That's her field, she may know others.
And I know a forester that I could get, who knows shrubs and trees, I might be able to get to come over, but I think Carol would be the first person to talk to. This was her baby when she started it. She knows what's going on. And sometimes,
Yes, yes.
as we have experienced before, it's difficult to tell. You can't just tell something's old by the size or the way it looks. You know, there's more to it.
Yes, you taught us that lesson there at Hoban Park. A former commissioner thought the smaller scraggly one should be taken down.
The spurs.
Because that it was in the way of the other larger spruce. And you had your forestry friend come over, and he actually tested both, and the younger one is, the smaller one is the older of the two.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, is that
Well, that's
common?
something I learned a long time ago with trees. Just because it's small doesn't mean it's not old. It's just a site condition, so that's why I'm saying some things like this can be deceiving. So you need to have somebody that knows what they're looking at.
Or can do the
Good job.
testing.
Just like you need to have somebody that knows their historical buildings to be able to look at something and give you a good idea of how old that is.
Okay,
Learn something new every day, huh?
there you go.
All right. Are we done with discussing
But
this?
just one more thing I want
Yes.
to add, one of the reasons this is important is a lot of times these historic vegetation, the trees and shrubs attract a lot of wildlife, like birds. It can bring people in, and it's an additional thing related to heritage tourism.
Absolutely.
People come for looking at the old buildings, but also, you know, people that are
Birders.
come in to town because they're birders, they're gonna be looking for things like this, because these can really, you know, these really big old trees can attract wildlife, so they have economical value as well.
One of the things that I learned is that with flowers, roses, things like that, the big hybrid roses that are big and showy and flashy don't usually have scent. The hybrid, it's been bred out of them. And so people right now, it's a big push in roses to look for the heritage roses, the ones that are growing alongside a fence and outside in a field, because those are the original roses and they have scent. If you smell some of the ones that, you know, big showy ones, they're pretty, but they don't smell, and I think that makes plants, you know, that just makes heritage roses real nice. Lilacs the same way, they smell good, but not every rose does. The new ones don't. So it is important to have somebody who knows, I think.
Well, I would like to add that with oral history, we do have a member of our commission, that would be Donna Walker, whose grandmother has rose bush, and that would qualify as a historic bush, whether it smells good or doesn't smell good.
she
Oral
on the
history
list?
is still important.
Right, but I'm just commenting.
No, I didn't mean to dissuade anything you had to say, Commissioner Ward.
No, but it's just that's just, there's lots of different there's a difference between new and old heritage plants. And that's just one thing I learned. I had no idea. I don't grow roses. I grow dahlias.
And we want to get some transplants of some of the old roses down in Hope
Yeah.
Park, as it used to have. And so I had dug up some of the older white roses, but
But
they
if you
came from
have
a
them-
place that's about 1940, and put them in Hope Park, and really something older would be better. So, do you have some?
We don't own the building, we sold it. But the village takes some.
Would they, yeah, introduce us, we'll go talk with them.
So that's.
See if we
good to
could,
know.
I'm not gonna go in with a shovel and dig up their plants.
All right, are we finished with this topic? Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. I appreciate this addition because this was in direct answer to Commissioner Ward's questions about placing a bench in Hoban Park. And so this is some past back and forth.
What page are you on?
Let's see, page 41. Let me see, I think, this is,
This is the next thing on the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
National-
Sorry. Okay. I have to find where it says benches on here.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to go back now to the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions and this year's national conference, which will be in Cincinnati, Ohio, from July 13th through the 17th. And the deadline for registration is June 1. And the SHPO, Maria Lewis, sent us an application for a CLG, which would help defray some of the costs and perhaps allow us to send 2 commissioners rather than 1 to the conference if we choose to send a commissioner or 2 to the conference. We can get this complete tonight, this application, should we vote to do this. And Director Saylor can get with the city manager in the morning and with her permission, sign it, and then we can get it off to Maria Lewis. And hopefully it will be accepted. But this is all based on whether or not a commissioner or 2 would like to attend the conference. It's valuable. Wolf Kurt's comments were besides the trainings, the training workshops, what he valued was the camaraderie and the networking, the communication, what you learned from each other and other commissioners from different parts of the country. And I would think that that would be invaluable as well. Discussion?
I think it would be an outstanding thing to attend. However, I have family coming at that time, so I will not be able to attend.
Okay.
Likewise.
Okay.
I think it's a great thing for someone to attend, but I cannot because I've got my bed and breakfast.
Okay. Commissioner LeMaster, would you be interested in attending?
I'll be fishing. This is I'm fishing.
That takes care of all the work tonight. You don't have to do any.
Well, like I say, I think it's a great opportunity, and unfortunately, I have family coming, that's been scheduled for 6 months, and, I can't, hey, here's the keys to my house, I'm going to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But I think it would be an outstanding conference, and perhaps next summer, if I know this is around the time, I can make sure that I'm available. I would very open to attending.
Yeah, it's tough for Alaskans in the summer. But yeah, I would encourage you guys, if you're able, to send 1 or 2 next year. Okay. So I believe we're done with that. Okay, now, so where did I read the benches? Okay, here we go. Maybe at the very last, under Karen Sturdy, page 42. Let's see. Any thoughts on benches in Hogan Park, lilacs, more than 1 birdhouse? Well, on our own, we've been dealing with lilacs. We only have 1 right now that has survived, but we're working on it.
I'm sorry, where are you
Yeah.
looking?
So this is just past communications for people working, previous historic preservation commissions, talking about what they wanted to place in Hogan Park, what was permissible, what would be supported, and I think the only place I saw the benches was at the very end.
Well, I see a note here where it says if benches are added now, they need not to be under the fall zone of the tree.
Oh, yes, I knew I saw more
Yeah,
information
no,
on
I
it.
see it.
Yeah.
So these are like 2011, 2011, 2015.
But you were asking about,
Well, I wanted
a bench. And
I wanted to put a memorial bench
Right.
for Eric. And so the first step for me was getting what the clerk gave us at the last meeting was the process. And I'm happy, since I'm kind of a member of the Holden Park Committee here, to work around what the city wants and what Holden Park gets. So, but that, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're open to doing that. And it's something I wanted to do. There's a couple along the bike trail, and I wanted to make a little memorial for Eric. So I will pursue that.
What I liked about this is it shows us that previous commissions have been, like we are,
Thinking the same.
Yeah, working to preserve it and add to it and, just,
Well, I think one of the
And
things...
unlike other commissions, we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, well, the point being is that we were real determined, we planted those lilacs, but they kind of got trampled and mowed, so
we still won.
we have to go back to Plan B to make sure they survive.
Yeah,
I think that was a bit cavalier to plant them where kids run on them, or dogs trample them, or the mowers get them. So we have to come up with a plan that's going to protect the historic lilacs. But we put them back where traditionally they were. I understood you had researched that, so we put them where they were supposed to be.
okay, so
Figure that out.
But thank you for that.
My feelings on that is that back when, Hoban Park was created and designed, there were quite a few less congregating people at that time, and there's a lot more in the summer. So when we plant, maybe we don't plant in the very same places. We're sensitive to what that does to, public use as far as the space goes itself, and yet still honoring its history. So I do think that corner where that multi-stumped mountain ash has got to be removed, and where the top soil of weeds has to be taken out
Well,
and
that's
soil
a
replaced would be
weed.
great. Would
Just a
be a
big
great
weed.
place for lilacs. It'd be protected naturally. But over where we left the one heritage bush, I think that area would be a great place to have a couple of lilacs, because it's already, it's already established visually there, but it leaves all this wide open.
Right. And I think if we put some shoots in there, we just have to protect them until they could get larger. That was our mistake. We planted them and thought that'd be enough, but
Well, yeah, with your tape, it should have been, but dogs don't pay attention.
yeah, they don't read.
I personally would prefer to see, instead of a hedge of lilacs over there in the place where they used to be, to have a few more like trees, lilac, where they are bigger and they have a little more space between them. And I think to make something like that work, it's going to require getting some things started, getting them bigger, planting them, and having a little bit of fencing around them to
Right.
protect them. Because just trying to go from smaller plants, it's just too much use there for them to survive.
For them to make it. And then I'd be happy to donate a bench, so, when the time comes.
And perhaps the historic fence that we have, maybe that could be used to place around these bushes that you want to protect?
I don't know, I personally think that the historic fence should go back where historically it was, and not, we shouldn't be like changing things around. I think we should try to just be accurate. Put the fence back where it was, put the lilacs where they were. That would be my preference.
Again, it's going to be your commission soon, so my comment to that is that wall where your fence was originally is sat upon by a lot of people in the summertime. That park is really well used. Whereas when it was created, there were people that would congregate, but not at all like they do now.
How do you know? The ships were coming in, the train was coming in, there's probably tons of people right there.
Well-
Getting off ships and
We'll
trains all the time.
cross the
Yeah.
French Bridge,
Right there.
Fence Bridge.
All the more recent were some benches,
That's right, that's why a bench might be real nice.
Yeah.
maybe more than one.
Well, I'll supply one. Because, you have to have it put in, but definitely one.
But yeah, we have time to figure this all out.
But yeah, so it looks like that's something that people have wanted to do for quite some time, at least the last 10 years. Replacement trees, lilacs, it's all the same stuff, benches, lilacs, we're talking the same stuff, so it just needs to happen.
Okay. Are we okay with discussion, moving on? So, at the end of each meeting, we look at our priorities list, and we're gonna move our historic award nominations to the May meeting.
So that's May 11th.
The due date, May 11th, yes. So we'll review and nominate May 12th, and then it'll come up, the awards will be given out at the May 23rd council meeting. Is it okay if we request that?
Yeah.
Clerk Baloo, or is, okay,
That is plenty of time to get that on the agenda.
okay, great. All right. So, actually, it's right on time.
Yeah, review HP awards and vote.
Yeah, it's right on time.
Yeah. We were being efficient, but I really am glad that we're opening it up again because I feel there's other people out there.
Okay. Any comments, further discussion?
Is this when Commissioner LeBret can comment?
Yeah, we'll get to,
So I can try and call him again.
He's used to being nagged by us, so don't worry about it.
Hello?
Hi, Commissioner Lebrecht, we're near the end of the meeting. Would you like to provide any comments?
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I've been watching the live stream as well, but it's a couple minutes behind, so I wasn't sure when you told me, so thank you. No, great meeting. Again, hey, Brenda, thank you for dialing me in so I could hear at the beginning there. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate the conversation around the nominations as well, although well appreciated. I think it's cool that we're on the thank you sign, and I think that's probably enough. It does feel a little like a conflict, so I appreciate everybody's comments, but it's really cool that folks thought to recognize us. As it relates to the nominations, I'm glad that we opened that back up until May 11th, and I will say, if I tell a story back to before I ever became involved in the commission, our house, the cable house, was nominated, and that kind of got us interested in saying, wow, this is kind of cool. People really care about history in Stewart, and part of the reason why I ended up becoming interested in coming to meetings with the Historic Preservation Commission for a while and seeing what was going on with the Historic Preservation Plan and everything else. So I think one cool idea, and we're not in a discussion or voting, but just would be to consider in a future, maybe even nominating all those folks that allowed us to include their home in this historic walking tour. I think they deserve to be memorialized, but I'll think about that maybe for next year. So I'm glad that we opened that back up as well too. And then from the CLG perspective, all of us, it sounds like, are too busy for this summer, but I don't know if there's a conversation that can be had later about partners such as Resurrection Bay or other folks who might be supporting historic preservation in maybe attending a future meeting if we're not able to. So those are really the things that I picked up. I just want to say again, I appreciate all the effort of the commission. Very much appreciate Chair Cease and all my fellow commissioners, and you as well for including me in this. And I apologize that I'm just not really able to do a lot of traveling right now, but I'm there with you in spirit. So I have nothing else to say. I really appreciate getting a chance to participate in the meeting. Thank you.
Commissioner LeBret, can you give us an update on Marcella?
Marcella is doing better, still not traveling and still not spending a lot of time outside of the house, but physically we have some optimism, so yeah, we're not waking up every day wondering if she's going to be here tomorrow, please. But I'm still not doing a lot of traveling and so on, just giving her overall health. And I did hear earlier, per the signs that we were talking about, I am planning, my plan is to come down next week and see if we get these last 3 signs put in. So I'll come for a short time. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBrecq.
Thank you for including me.
Any other commissioner comments? Well, thank you, commissioners, for coming, and thank you for what we have accomplished, and...
We have a guest.
Oh, yes. Well, do we have any citizen comments?
Why not?
You're here. We're crying loud out.
Rissy Casagrande in city limits. I'm gonna go find lilac bushes now and plant lilac bushes everywhere. It sounds like they were a really big part of Seward history. I've been watching you guys on YouTube, but I thought when I last minute found out you guys were having a meeting, usually it's last minute, I was able to physically come. So I just like to thank you guys for all your hard work in helping us preserve the history of Seward. As a young person, I guess I'm not really that young anymore, but it definitely is through the education of how us young people become inspired and passionate about history. So I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate all my history friends. I've gathered a lot of them throughout the years. I love learning about history. I love living in these old buildings and participating in the restoration of these old buildings. And this meeting was really awesome to learn, not only is it buildings, it's also vegetation. So very cool. And I'm sure the list just goes on. I mean, there's people and probably rocks and all kinds of stuff. But I do have to say about the vegetation, I was thinking about that. I do have a weird pine in my front yard on 2nd Avenue that maybe when you guys are sending somebody out to look, I have a feeling it's old. It's one of those shrubs that I think are young because it had 3 huge spruce trees next to it, but I had to cut those off because they were getting underneath my foundation and starting to hurt the foundation. But there's this little pine and it's got really long needles. It looks like a bonsai tree. It's like growing off the side of my house. And I have a feeling it's one of those that are older than you think. So,
By just looking at it.
something you might
Put that on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Casagrande. And actually, your business on 3rd, I have appreciated that you have done your best to pretty much preserve it as is.
It looks good.
It
looks
does.
really,
It
really
looks good.
nice.
So, all right. Clerk Ballou and Director Saylor, thank you for being here with us tonight, and thank you for the work you did and getting our packets put together. And with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting at 6:53.
Yay.
Awesome.